Hi guys, welcome to the second webcast of the week. Today we're going to be talking about respiratory anatomy and the flow of air down into your lungs. So I've made a quick key up here to talk about to just outline the different kinds of epithelium that we're going to see throughout the respiratory anatomy, and I'm going to try to keep these as color coded as possible, so you can always refer to the beginning of this video in order to get yourself oriented with the color codes. So the first part of your respiratory system is going to be your nose. It's going to be a very crude drawing. We'll draw this witch type nose. Comes down to someone smiling here. So this is your nose. Let's take my word for that one. And mouth. Cool. So we have your nose, the first part of the respiratory system here. Inside of your nose is your nasal cavity, and that's going to be lined with this first part of epithelium, the pseudostratified ciliated columnar, or PSCC, pseudostratified ciliated columnar. So I'm going to outline the inside of this like so. I'll draw the nasal cavity back here. So you can see that this nasal cavity then has this pseudostratified ciliated columnar. Inside that nasal cavity you have three conchae, or conchae, however you choose to pronounce it. And these are seashell-shaped structures inside your nasal cavity that create turbulence for the air that comes in, and that allows it to moisten up and become a little bit warmer as it enters your body. So why pseudostratified ciliated columnar? The key part here is the ciliated portion, and that's because of the amount of mucus that's in your nasal cavity needs to keep flowing somewhere so it doesn't build up. And so that ciliated portion is going to help keep the flow of mucus down into your throat or your pharynx. So the next portion, I'll draw a dotted line here in red. So after here, so we have our nasal cavity. After that, we're going to have our nasopharynx. So let's draw a line there. And that is also going to be lined in pseudostratified ciliated columnar. So we'll come back to this color code here and draw this nasopharynx back here. Nasopharynx. And that's also, again, we have that ciliated columnar in order to help mucus flow easily. And there's all it is air that's coming through here, so we don't necessarily need the protection that you'd need elsewhere. Which leads me into the oropharynx. And that you're actually going to need stratified squamous epithelium, because as you see, it's where your mouth begins. I may have started that up a bit high. Let's extend this guy down a little bit here. And so there's food. There's a potential for abrasion that occurs here at the oropharynx. So we have stratified squamous epithelium in order to help protect from abrasion. Oropharynx. As we keep going, I'll scroll this down and we'll draw a red line here. These red lines are just going to show separations of the respiratory anatomy. The next part is the laryngopharynx, and that's also going to be stratified squamous, because we still have, again, I might have stopped that a little high, we still have food passing through here. So we need to have that protection against abrasion. So keep this coming down. And here we have the laryngopharynx. Laryngopharynx. and we have air keep passing down through here. The next part is going to be the the larynx. And this is commonly referred to as your voice box. And you're going to have a split here. So let's see, we'll stop, cut off the laryngopharynx about here, and we'll go down a little further. And at the top of this, we're going to keep that same stratified squamous epithelium. And then towards the inferior portion of it, it's going to switch back to that pseudostratified ciliated columnar. So we're not going to have a break in structure here, but we're going to have a break in epithelial anatomy. So we'll call this the larynx, voice box. Followed by that, we have the trachea. And that's going to be pseudostratified ciliated columnar. So as we move down, not to scale. Trachea. And let me start doing this actually. Pseudostratified ciliated columnar. This is going to be pseudostratified ciliated columnar inferior and stratified squamous superior. Stratified squamous. Stratified squamous. And then back to pseudostratified ciliated columnar and pseudostratified ciliated columnar. Cool. Just keep reminding you of that. After the trachea, we're going to break into our left and right main bronchi. So we'll go our left, so this is the right, left, main bronchi. So we'll cut this guy off here. Right and left main bronchi. And we have pseudostratified ciliated columnar again. Remember to help keep that mucus flow. So we're going to be flowing mucus up now, away from the lungs. From there, it's going to branch into small bronchioles. And there we're going to start with simple columnar. So what color was that? That purplish color right down the line here. So when we break off here, we've got simple columnar. It's our small bronchia, small bronchioles. And further than that, we have respiratory bronchioles, which are going to be simple cuboidal. Try these a little bit smaller. Simple cuboidal. And here we enter the respiratory zone. So there's two zones of your respiratory anatomy. There's going to be the conducting zone, which is going to be, according to the book, anything before the respiratory bronchioles. And that's going to be the passage that the air takes, or the path that the air takes to get down to the area of gas exchange. So on these respiratory bronchioles, which are simple cuboidal. We'll draw a couple more here so I can get a little more room. We're going to have alveoli. Alveoli. And this is really where gas exchange occurs. Forgot to draw this break here. And these alveoli are going to be made of simple squamous. And why is that? Because simple squamous is good for diffusion. And here we're going to have diffusion of gas across the membrane. And these alveoli are lined on these respiratory bronchioles almost like grapes. And so while the respiratory bronchioles are considered part of the respiratory zone, it's not passing through that simple cuboidal. The gas isn't actually going through the simple cuboidal epithelium. It's going through the simple squamous of the alveoli. So these are simple squamous, and they're alveoli. Alveoli. I believe that's how you spell it. And like I mentioned, that brings up my last main point about the difference between the draw a line here and below here. We have the respiratory zone, and everything above here is going to be the conducting zone. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a good weekend. I'll talk to you next week.